It's normal to worry about your heart. A sudden heart attack is a terrifying thought. And when you realize you could have blocked arteries without any symptoms, the promise that certain foods will flush them out fast looks incredibly appealing. But we need to answer a very specific question today. Do things like pomegranates, or perhaps walnuts, and fresh wild salmon possess the physiological ability to quickly scrub your arteries clean? Or is that a biological fiction? Relying on fear-based marketing for a progressive condition like cardiovascular disease is dangerous. It sets you up for failure by demanding a quick fix for a problem that took decades to build. So we are going to strip the hype away. We will evaluate 5 promoted heart-healthy foods, looking strictly at the effort they require and the realistic biological return on investment you get for eating them. We will plot them on this chart, showing expectations versus biology. The vertical axis measures the marketing claims, and the horizontal axis measures clinical evidence. A headline like, "Eat these foods to clear arteries fast," lands in the top left corner. Massive expectations, weak clinical evidence. To genuinely protect your cardiovascular system, you have to abandon the fantasy of a rapid detox. You need a realistic, progressive biological defense. Think about the difference between a brand new rubber hose and an old calcified pipe. A healthy artery expands and contracts easily. An artery compromised by plaque is stiff, narrowed, and prone to rupture. Your circulatory system is entirely dependent on this continuous dynamic movement to deliver oxygen and nutrients to your organs. The inner lining of these vessels is called the endothelium. It is highly flexible, and it is the exact biological target you are trying to reach when you change your diet. The hard biological baseline is that eating specific foods will almost never rapidly dissolve existing hardened calcified plaque. What clinical studies from the British Heart Foundation and others actually show is that these foods stop the progression of atherosclerosis, they lower systemic inflammation, and they shield that delicate endothelial lining from taking further damage. Dietary interventions are long-term shields. They do not unclog damage that has already calcified into place. Let's look at the most heavily promoted category first, fatty fish like salmon and tuna. To weigh the pros and cons, we'll use a comparison matrix tracking protocol, mechanism, lifestyle input, and outcome. The omega-3s in fish act as a systemic overhaul, positively influencing cholesterol over time, actively preventing atherosclerosis progression. But the lifestyle input is heavy. You have to source high-quality fish, pay a premium for it, and deal with the friction of cooking it multiple times a week. Compare that high-friction overhaul to something highly targeted, shelled walnuts. On our matrix, walnuts act as an acute defender. The outcome here is immediate post-meal endothelial protection. Researchers found that eating walnuts actually works better than olive oil at protecting your arteries from the sudden, acute inflammation that happens right after you eat a heavy, high-fat meal. The primary trade-off is calorie density. Snacking on handfuls of walnuts is an easy way to push yourself into a caloric surplus and gain weight. You are choosing between a high-friction lifestyle overhaul to get long-term lipid changes with fish, or a low-friction, immediate defense with walnuts that requires strict portion control. Next, we have targeted fruit interventions. Let's start with how citrus specifically manages blood pressure. Whole oranges and grapefruits contain a specific type of viscous fiber that actively lowers systolic blood pressure, reducing the physical stress on your artery walls. Then there is the pomegranate. The seeds of a pomegranate contain compounds that actively halt pathological oxidative stress, a primary driver of advanced cardiovascular disease. This bar chart shows exactly what happens when you process these fruits. Look at the whole fruit column compared to the juice column. The vital fiber plummets to near zero, and the sugar load spikes massively. When you remove the fiber, the remaining sugar hits your bloodstream as a massive spike, which triggers immediate inflammation in your vessel walls. This inflammatory response creates a high-stress environment that works directly against the antioxidants you are trying to consume. These fruits offer powerful, targeted defense against blood pressure and oxidative stress, but only if you accept the seasonal costs and strictly eat them whole. If seasonal fruit and wild-caught salmon stretch your budget, there is an accessible category sitting in your pantry right now, spices like turmeric and cinnamon. Bringing our matrix back, we'll add spices to the bottom row. The documented clinical outcome here is rapid lipid reduction. These common staples contain active compounds that fight metabolic conditions, and measurably reduce both LDL cholesterol and triglycerides in the bloodstream. The financial cost is practically zero, but the trade-off is palatability. The biological reality is that a casual sprinkle of cinnamon on your coffee won't move the needle on your lipid panel. You have to consume these spices in high clinical doses to see measurable changes. Spices are an excellent low-budget hack for arterial defense, but their real-world efficacy is strictly capped by how much turmeric or cinnamon you can physically stomach every day. Evaluating foods in isolation is helpful, but you don't eat in a vacuum. You need a sustainable dietary strategy built around your real-world constraints. This decision flow chart maps out your exact options. Starting from the center, your path depends on whether your budget is tight, you lack time, or you are a beginner. If your budget is tight, follow this path to spices and citrus. Ignore the internet hype telling you to buy expensive wild-caught salmon and exotic pomegranates. Maximize your intake of cheap whole citrus and use heavy daily doses of pantry spices. If you are pragmatic but lack time, follow this path to walnuts and supplements. Skip the high friction of meal prepping a fish. Keep shelled walnuts at your desk for immediate post-meal protection, and close the omega-3 gap with a high-quality, verified supplement. Long-term biological defense depends entirely on consistency. A modest daily habit of citrus and walnuts provides more arterial protection than an expensive protocol that is too difficult to maintain for more than a few weeks. If you are a beginner, taking on all 5 of these protocols at once is a guaranteed recipe for burnout and abandonment. Pick one sustainable swap today. Replace a processed afternoon snack with a handful of walnuts, or swap your orange juice for the whole fruit. There is no fast dietary cure for blocked arteries. Looking back at our chart, this is where we actually want to be: progressive endothelial defense. It gives you the high results you expect, backed by the high clinical reality of medical science. These natural foods provide an undeniable, life-saving physiological return on investment. But you have to treat them as a lifelong daily prescription, paired closely with your doctor's routine monitoring, to truly keep